Hi everyone, and welcome back to Renshi's Ops IQ performance videos. Today I'm going to be talking about coaching, and if you remember in the last video what we talked about was what we did in the first week, and basically there we would listen, we'd answer questions, we would set up coaching appointments for the next time that we come back in a couple weeks. And you know, it's really hard to explain to our clients and get them to realize what's going to be happening to them at this point. And the reason for that is that most companies are used to consultants coming in with a specific agenda and these formulas for success and all that kind of stuff. And we don't do that. And the reason, as I stated before, is that if we do that, it's our agenda, our ideas, not the client's ideas. And then that doesn't become sustainable. As soon as we go, the ideas go. When we return after being away for a week, there's a ton of things we can work on in week 3. And if you hear consultants talking about models, your radar should go up. Why? Because models are an easy way for consultants to look good. Hey, I've got this model and this model and this model. And if you follow the practices in this model, everything will be great and you'll achieve all this great performance. But as I said before, that doesn't work. Number one, because it's not the client's model, that's not the client that has realized this, it's the consultant telling them what they think they should hear. And number two, most of these models in and of themselves are no guarantee for success. There's no actual data that these things work. There are good and bad things in each models, and that's what you should pick out. That's what we do, and we call them tools. And we use the tools when stuff comes up in our clients' lives that a tool may help them with, and then we'll ask them, would you like us to suggest a tool? And then they're all over it because this addresses exactly what they need in the moment. And they're learning, they change, and they get stuff done. The main thing we focus on in week 3 are coaching sessions, metrics, action item lists, perhaps some scorecarding, and none of these in any particular order. As I mentioned, I'm going to be talking specifically about coaching in this video, and in the first coaching session with a client, what we do is talk mostly about ourselves. In other words, I tell them all about my bio, who I am, both professionally and personally, and why that gives me some credibility to be there helping them through and coaching them through their issues. And then the flip side of that is learning about the client. What's their bio? How long have they been at the job? Why have they been at the job? Things like that. And what are their big, high-reaching, high-level goals? We use a coaching FAQ to make sure we cover all the points in the first session, and I'll provide a link for that below. And it's really about 3 things. The main thing is that we pull, we don't push. In other words, we're not pushing our ideas or models, as I said before, on clients. Number 2, it's confidential. Nothing that we say in these meetings goes to anybody else unless the coachee tells us to. And in fact, even if they tell us some great stories, I'll ask permission to tell that story to others. So I never want them to hear something that's coming out of a coaching session that they have not approved. And finally, all of these goals that are being talked about are theirs, not ours. What coaching isn't is an accountability mechanism. In other words, we're not reporting up the chain about what your test scores are today and stuff like that. Coaching isn't about telling or fixing. I'm not going to tell you what to do or fix you or fix your problem. We're going to be talking about what the problem is and what you can do to solve it. Coaching isn't about providing answers based on my experience. Back in the day I did this, so why don't you do it this way? No. It's all about you, the client. Coaching is also not about answers not based on research. In other words, it just can't be somebody feels like it's like this should be the answer, or I did this one way and it should be that way. It has to be some sort of concrete example before we provide some feedback. And probably the most important thing coaching isn't is that assuming that we know more about your business than you do. You've been there for, years more than us, 10, 20, sometimes 30 years. So if you start thinking that we know more about your business than you, we're both in big trouble. What we're experts in is getting you to look at those things and find out what you're missing and working on those. We're not content specialists on exactly what you're doing, but how to make you think more about how you're doing it. So then we start. We use a variety of coaching frameworks, but they're pretty much all the same. Different people develop them, and I think they've all been the same since Plato started asking questions. But basically the one we like, probably because the acronym is shorter, and shorter is better in my world, is the GROW coaching framework. And what that stands for is goal, reality, options, and way forward. During that first coaching session, we ask the client what their goals are. What do they want to accomplish in the next few months? So when we start the next session, we talk about those goals. But, and this is a big important but, they mean nothing if there's something else going on in the client's world. The reason is because if they're working on something and we can help them with tools and things like that, they really learn, they really dig in, and they pull that information. If it's like a course and we're just teaching, okay, we're going to do this goal this week, this goal this week, this goal this week, it doesn't have as much impact. Not that that's necessarily bad, but it's better to be flexible. Again, it provides more flexibility, and it's your ideas, it's going with the client, not ours, and it's sustainable. So, when a coaching session starts, we'll ask a really open question: what's going on? And by the way, in most, if you go out to the floor, in most manufacturing environments, it's often like that. They'll go, hey Joe, hey Francine, how's it going? What's going on? Great open questions, and that starts up a dialogue. Something we often miss as we rise up the organization chain. Anyway, so we ask what those goals are, and then we boil that down into what they want to accomplish in the next hour. So for example, if they want to bring peace and joy to the world, we can't do that in an hour, so let's narrow it down a bit and find out what they can do in the next 60 minutes or so. Then we start talking about reality. So who else knows? How important is it to you? Have you done this? Have you done that? And when we start talking about the reality of the situation, people come up with options. Oh, you know, I never thought about it, but I could do this, or I could do that. And then as they're doing that, I record those down. And that's the option part of the GROW acronym. And then the W, the way forward, is, okay, Mr. Client, you have come up with a few ideas here. As I repeat these ideas to you, which one do you really think resonates with you? And they'll spit something out, and that's the one that we work on. And then that becomes an action item that we begin our discussion with them the next time we meet. And by the way, sometimes the action isn't appropriate, or you just couldn't do it that week, and that's okay, but we still keep it there to see, to make sure that they actually try it. And then even if they try it and it doesn't work, that's okay, because then they know not to do that, and at least they're doing something, and that builds confidence. They don't get fired for that. They're learning how to come up with new ideas and trying them out, and they know that their boss is liking all this too. By the way, coaching session frequency is also up to the client. It's not up to us. They don't need to meet every day or every week. It's really up to them. And sometimes they start off where maybe they want to meet hourly, and by that I mean they would meet before an important meeting. They'd have the meeting, then we would debrief afterwards. And usually what happens after a little while, it gets into a pattern where every couple of weeks we'll have a coaching session with someone. And the most important thing that coaches have to be aware of is not to overcoach. You can't hold everybody's hand. It's better to let them go out and play the game, and let them fail, let them succeed, let them become themselves. And again, this creates sustainability and gets them thinking about thinking. That's it for coaching. Next time I'm going to be talking about meeting mechanics, which is a huge opportunity for leaders to help their teams improve. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you have any questions, you can put those underneath and I'll make sure I answer them. Until next time, bye.